Hello, friends. Welcome to your report for the new moon in Pisces. That's coming in on Wednesday, March 18th. And just so you know, I'm going to be starting to do some videos for these reports. So that's why I'm here talking to you on video today. Okay, so let's dive into the chart. I'm about to share my screen. Okay, so here is the chart for the new moon in Pisces. I am really excited for this new moon. As you can see here, we have the new moon coming in at 28 degrees, conjunct the sun. This is the almost final degree of Pisces. So already looking at the degree of this new moon, I'm already feeling like this new moon is bringing in an energy of completion and also an energy of rebirth, because the new moon is happening at almost the last degree of the entire zodiac wheel. And this is right before the sun comes over the falls into Aries, which represents our astrological new year. So this always happens every year on the spring equinox when the sun moves into Aries. And this is going to be taking place this year, just 2 days after this new moon in Pisces. So this new moon is already really carrying some of that spring equinox energy. It's carrying some of that rebirth energy. And the astrological new year begins when the sun moves into Aries, because this is the beginning of spring. So this is really the initiatory energy of the year. This is when the sun moves into Aries. This is a sign of cardinal fire. This is when we really start to initiate something new, a new season, a new year, a new momentum. And for me, this has always made a lot more sense to celebrate as the new year versus the Gregorian calendar, which happens pretty much in the dead of winter, when we are in this very yin season of going inward and resting and rejuvenating and letting things really take place underground. There's like this internal process that's happening during the winter season. When we move into spring, we're moving into this upward and outward energy. And that begins with Aries and it begins with cardinal fire. And so, this point in the zodiac where this new moon is almost at in this chart is a very important part of the zodiac, because when we move from Pisces into Aries, this is the point of the zodiac wheel where things are rebirthed, where things are falling, going over these falls into Aries, going into this new cycle. And this new moon takes place just before we begin this new annual cycle. So it's a really important new moon for that reason. There's so much else going on in this chart that I absolutely love. Um, First of all, let's talk about what's happening just 2 days after this new moon on the same day as the astrological new year, which is that Mercury is about to station direct. So in this chart, we have Mercury sitting at 8 degrees of Pisces, sitting with the North Node, which is also at 8 degrees of Pisces, and Mercury will station direct at 8 degrees of Pisces. So we are already sitting in Mercury station direct energies during this new moon. We're in the buildup of this new moon now as I'm recording this for you, and we're already feeling this energy. We can also see that Mars is very close to the North Node. Mars is sitting at 12 degrees of Pisces. So, what does all of this mean? Mercury stationing direct is always a slingshot released forward. It's always the momentum of the refinement, the realignment, the reconsidering that we've been doing for about 3 weeks' time is now about to slingshot and move forward. So that is always happening when we have Mercury stationing direct. This is the point where Mercury comes to a standstill and then changes direction and starts moving forward again. So there's been this process that we've been going through with Mercury retrograde around rethinking something. Something has been up for reconsideration. And whatever it is that we've been rethinking, this new moon is taking place while Mercury is preparing to go direct. So we're already feeling the energy of that momentum that's building to that point where Mercury is going to slingshot forward just 2 days after this new moon. Mercury is already sitting with the North Node at 8 degrees where he will station direct. So he's come to a standstill. He's sitting at 8 degrees. He's going to slingshot forward at 8 degrees at the North Node. So this amplifies that slingshot momentum, forward moving energy, because the North Node represents our destiny. The North Node represents something that we're reaching for. It's our ideal. It's the energy that is carrying us towards what is ultimately meant for us on a soul evolutionary level. Now, this particular retrograde has been inviting us to rethink something about that. There's something about our direction and our destiny and the way in which our destiny is unfolding that we have been in this rethinking, reconsidering process around over the last 3 weeks. And at the point of this new moon, there's clarity. We're starting to get clarity. We're starting to build into that momentum of that slingshot being released and that energy that's starting to now going to move forward. So this has been a really significant Mercury retrograde because of the influence of the North Node. And because this retrograde has been happening in Pisces at the North Node, there has been some kind of a surrender process required. There has been some kind of letting go of something that we thought was going to be a certain way in our minds, which is Virgo. That's where the South Node is. There's been something we've been clinging to. There's been something that we've been trying to control, trying to manipulate, trying to micromanage, that we are being asked to let go of and surrender to a higher timeline than what our limited mind's conception is able to perceive, basically. And so when Mercury goes direct, we're going to be starting to see exactly why we had to surrender this thing that we thought was going to go a certain way, because ultimately there's a higher timeline that's trying to unfold for us. But when we're clinging and controlling in this old paradigm, we haven't been able to allow that new timeline to unfold. This new moon represents the new beginning that is going to start unlocking that new timeline, because it's happening in Pisces. We have Mercury at the North Node about to station direct. We have Mars sitting at the North Node. Mars represents our direction, our movement, our motivation, the will and the action that we take towards chasing our dreams and our desires. So this is giving us the energy to move forward on whatever it is that Mercury has been inviting us to create clarity around. Now, the other thing that's really exciting is that during this new moon, all of this energy that we have at the North Node, we have Mercury, North Node, and Mars sitting here. We have all of this energy being trined, making a beautiful trine with Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of abundance, of expansion, of opportunity, of new potential. And Jupiter just stationed direct last week. So Jupiter is moving forward. Mercury is about to move forward. The two of them are making this harmonious dance with each other. They're helping each other. There's like a positive and uplifting energy. There's like a new opportunity. There's a new beginning. There's a new momentum that's being invited to surge forward. It might not look the way that you thought it was going to look. It's going to look different than what your mind thought it was going to look like. But your job right now is to ride this wave of momentum, to let this wave of momentum carry you through this week. Because like I mentioned, 2 days after this new moon, we have Mercury stationing direct. That's going to be another wave of momentum forward. We have the sun moving into Aries. That's going to be another wave of momentum forward. We also have in this chart, the new moon is being sextiled exactly by Uranus. This is a helpful aspect. It's an aspect with Uranus, which means that there's something unpredictable about this energy. Again, we're seeing this theme of like surrender and trust and letting it unfold in a way that we have had to let go of during this retrograde. We have had to let go of something around the way we thought something was going to look. Now, how to see where this is affecting your chart, and this, this influence from Uranus, this sextile from Uranus is inviting us, it's pulling us into this sort of revolutionary new timeline that is asking us to surrender and trust. There's very much a divine influence here. Pisces is the divine. So Pisces in its highest expression is this surrender to God, to the divine, to spirit, whatever you want to call it. There's some kind of higher power that is guiding you right now, that is guiding this forward momentum, and you can't control it. You have to let go of the way that you thought it was going to go, the way that you thought it was going to look. And right now, your job is to just ride this wave, to get on this wave and ride this wave, because it's pushing us forward in a direction that on a soul level, we are meant to be going in. So really, really, really exciting week, really exciting chart. There is, when the sun moves into Aries, it's going to meet up immediately with Neptune and Saturn, because you can see them sitting there at 1 and 3 degrees of Aries. So as soon as the sun crosses over that threshold into Aries, it's going to make conjunction with those two. Those two together, I've been talking about this for almost a year now. These two together are a very, very interesting pairing. We want to be working with Saturn and Neptune together. The harmonious and the helpful way to work with Saturn and Neptune together is to hold the big picture vision. This is a new vision. It's a new dream because we're at the 1st degree of Aries. We're at the new beginning of the zodiac. There's a new dream, there's a new vision, and we're holding that vision with trust and with surrender to the divine plan that is bigger than our mind's ability to conceive. And with Saturn, we're working with Saturn to take the aligned steps. Saturn cannot skip steps. Saturn has to move through the 3D. So one thing that I've noticed with a lot of people right now is that a lot of people are experiencing challenges with integrating spiritual growth into their physical body. This is Neptune and Saturn. This is working with Neptune and Saturn, is working with anchoring your frequency. If you've experienced a big energetic upgrade or some kind of a big frequency shift into a higher timeline, into a higher dimension, you need to anchor that into your physical vessel. This is Saturn. Saturn is restricted by the 3D. So Saturn requires you to hold that new frequency on a physical level, on an embodied level. This also looks like showing up for your daily stuff. It looks like taking the action steps. It looks like being diligent, not skipping any steps. We need to actually build this dream. It's not going to build itself. And Saturn is asking us to show up with discipline, with integrity, with taking responsibility for that dream and actually bringing it into fruition. And so we can also see that Neptune and Saturn are making a really harmonious and helpful sextile with Pluto. Again, this is a groundbreaking new dream. It's a transformational dream. It's something that we didn't see before. But right now, we're in this very important time. The energy is moving forward. We're being kind of thrust in this direction. And the energy is very powerful. It's very potent right now. We have a lot of forward momentum in the charts. So when we work with this energy in a harmonious way, we want to be listening. We want to be trusting where we're being guided, but we also want to be taking the correct and aligned action. We don't want to be falling into the dreamy and sort of ungrounded shadow side of Pisces, where we can just drift into sort of like this illusion, delusion, escape land and think that the dream is just going to happen because we see that we see the potential. We need to actually anchor that in with our actions right now. And things are going to become even more clear as the week goes on. When Mercury stations direct on Friday, we're going to have even more clarity, even more direction, even more momentum. Mercury's going to be there near Mars at the North Node. We're going to have the sun pushed into Aries. There's going to just be all of this kind of like momentum pushing us forward, and we want to move with that momentum. We don't want to get stuck. And we want to be mindful. Again, I know I've been going on and on about these nodes, but the nodes are really the most important aspect of the chart. The North Node is your North Star, and the South Node is your Achilles heel. And so you always want to be paying attention to what's happening with these placements. And what we want to notice with the South Node in Virgo right now, because any activation at the North Node is also going to activate the South Node because they're in exact opposition. The two always work together. So as we're seeing this big expansion, this big potential, this big possibility that's opening up for us, there might be old shadow patterns that are surfacing. In the case of Virgo, this is going to be patterns of perfectionism, hypercriticism. This is going to be control patterns. This is going to be mental loops that we get stuck on. This is your time to purify the mind in the way that the mind is holding you back from being able to move towards and trust that bigger vision that you're being guided towards. And when you notice those mental loops being activated and being triggered, you want to work with your mind to discipline your mind. Your mind is a tool, and an undisciplined mind is going to control you. Whereas when you have discipline over your mind, you can use your mind as a very helpful and beneficial tool to creating this new vision. So super exciting new moon. I love this new moon. I think it's going to be a really beautiful energy, and I hope you celebrate this new moon. I would definitely work with this chart to set new intentions, to plant seeds, work with ritual. This is a very helpful, beneficial new moon. Not all new moons are new moons where you want to be planting seeds, because you're anchoring in the energy of that chart. This chart is a very helpful and harmonious chart. As long as you're not using it to manifest something that you're rigidly attached to and trying to control, but rather you're staying connected to a big picture vision, and you're allowing and trusting the divine unfoldment of that vision while also showing up and taking responsibility for your part in it. This is how you want to be working with this new moon. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll talk to you in the next full moon.